What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber die trying. You see the thumbnail. Um, are we free yet? I don't have my phone on me, so if you send me messages and it hits my phone, I won't know. Just for the record. But the question is, are we free yet? So I went to see the Fred Hampton movie, Judas and the Black Messiah, and it made me pose the question about, are we free yet? Because you know we come from an era people didn't have necessary freedom of movement. So do we have freedom of movement? Yes. We come, there was an era where people didn't have freedom of being able to live where they wanted to live. Are we there yet? I'm not sure. I think some of us could live where we want to live. That's a class issue, and I think some of us can't live where we want to live, even if we're in the right class, depending on where we're trying to go. But I don't know which one is a bigger thing. I think people want our money, but they want us in certain places. Um, so are we free to live where we want to live? Not sure about that. And then, more importantly, I was thinking, are we free to grow? Are we free to progress in society, to progress in America? And that's also determinant on a few other things, thus the parents fighting to have their kids educated in a good space, in a good system or whatever. You know, I remember when those celebrities got in trouble for getting their kids in higher education, because of their money and influence, and they had to almost go to jail. They didn't go to jail for that, but they were stacking the deck. Um, so in my opinion, when it comes to that thing, we don't have freedom of that. We don't. We don't have freedom of education per se. If that's what I'll make it. We don't have it yet. Um, but after I watched the movie, I actually came home and I watched For Life, the ABC show. And they kind of retrofitted it to the modern time with everybody wearing the mask and stuff. That was pretty dope. Um, and I thought about freedom in the sense of the most important thing in America is justice, right? Are we? Does our freedom? Are we free enough to get justice? Are we free enough to actually have the American government and the American system work for us like they work for everybody? Well, yeah, maybe like they work for a lot of other people. You can even say everybody else because of the. I can say everybody else now because of the thing that happened in Oklahoma with the Indians being considered to own half of Oklahoma, even though it's their land in the first place. But that's a whole other story. So, do we have freedom when it comes to, justice? And I think absolutely not. You know, thus the whole George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, uh, really Emmett Till, you know, even like watching the Fred Hampton, we really didn't get any justice in that aspect. It was all trifling, because people can get away with murder when it comes to us. So I don't think we have freedom as far as justice at all. And there is no freedom in America when there's no freedom of justice. When everybody's not, it, even when the opportunities for success uh, have no equality in them, but the opportunity for justice has no equality in it also. So it's like, are we really free yet? Are we free yet? I'm like, nah, not really. We're not free yet. teachers can still mess with our kids in school if they want to. They can still do that. No problem. No problem whatsoever. Are they gonna keep their job? Yeah. You know, teachers have been fraternizing with the students, for a long time. The teacher might get fired. Teacher might actually be an offender for life. Does the school have to pay anything out? Do you sue the school or sue the school board, the institution for hiring these type of people and putting your kids at risk? I haven't seen that happen yet. Maybe I'm missing something, but I haven't seen that happen yet. So, are we free? Are we free yet? I mean, we're free to shop. We're free to fight in wars. We're free to vote, per se, depending on which election cycle we're talking about. We're free to patronize most businesses, but we're not really free. And beyond the freedom in that sense, more importantly, are we free mentally? Or are we free with each other? And I don't think we're free yet mentally. I don't think we're free yet emotionally. I don't think we're free yet financially. I don't think we're free in the ways that matter. It's like somebody always has to have a hand in our business, in our lives, in our kids' lives, and that's the way of life that they want. Which was interesting about the me watching For Life. There was a particular scene where a guy got killed. No, Phil. I feel like anything can happen at any time. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I've been, I guess, in far too many situations where, I understand that people can get away with, depending on what institution that they're connected to, people can get away with a lot more than you want to admit. A lot more. Whole nother thing, though, that's involved in this. Let me say it in this sense. You know what I'm saying? Man, we on the same page, man. So we got to keep bringing up racism in this country. So if you got to keep bringing up racism in this country, you're not free. You're not free. If everything goes back to your race, you're not free. Said money can make it easier, but the vast majority of us don't have money. So how, because a lot of times people are trying to buy their freedom economically, and that's part of the issue, because part of the rat race is part of the rat race is economically holding you back. Because see, you're not free until you're free of bills. It's a capitalist society. Until you end up in a situation where you are all profit, all profit, no debt, you're not free anyways. No matter who you are, you're not free. You got mortgage, you got rent, you got a car note, you got a credit card bill, you got, you're not gonna be free. Light bill, phone bill, gas, water, that's like a usage thing. That's like paying gas for your car. It's a usage fee. But if the place that you live in ain't free yet, you're not free yet. If the car you driving is not free yet, you're not free yet. You know what I mean? So this is where we at with it. That's what I say, mentally free, financially free. The question is, are you? Most of us aren't. If you got student loans, you're not gonna be free. You got to be free from your student loans because you having a student loan impedes on so many different things in your life. You know, causes a problem. Every time you try to, I guess, purchase something in a sense, your student loan is attached to it. Your credit score, all that other stuff. Needing a credit score, in general, might lead you on the side that you're not free. If you need a high credit score, that's because you need a good interest rate, which means you ain't got the cash for it. The bank is free. You know, the hospital is free. The church is probably free because that's an all-profit business. I don't care. People think it's not what it used to be. You know, you know that's where we at with it. You know, religion will give you freedom and freedom, but you paying every time you go to church. And then you feel guilty if you don't pay the church when you go in there. So are you free? I don't know about that. You know, if you're a parent, particularly a black parent, I can say we all know we're not really free because we all have a concern for our kids becoming adults and what's going to happen to them when they're out of our sight. When you happen to your kids when they're out of your sight, you don't worry about how the world's going to treat your 18, 19, 22, 25-year old or whatever. You don't really worry about that because you feel free. You know, you know, you know. Banks are free because they don't need our money. See, they've already made interest on your money. That's how banks work. You put your money in the bank, you know, depending on the size of the bank, that bank issues a credit card, that bank issues a business loan, that bank issues a mortgage, that bank issues a car note, that bank issues, a small loan, a personal loan for whatever you need to buy. For and all of that money, generally speaking, is everybody else's money pooled together, and the interest is with the is what they're profiting on. So they've been profiting on for interest since the beginning of quote unquote the inception of America. They don't need no money. You can pull your money out right now. And you got to remember, FDIC approved means what, $100,000. They might have made it a quarter million now. So technically, if you have $10 million in the bank can just say, "Hey, man, we lost all the money, and we insured 100,000. Your 100,000 is insured, but the rest of your 900,000 is not. Or your up to your quarter million is insured, but the rest of your 3/4 of a million is not. You just got to take that loss. You know, so if a bank can go defunct, it can take all of its high accounts with it. You know, so they're like in a win-win situation. That's why I'm saying banks are free. You know, nobody's going to a bank asking for personal accounts going to taking $100,000, $200,000 out of the time. And those type of people, they get interest. Like rich people wind up making anywhere from 5 to 7 figures off of their money. They get bumps up in their account because of how much money they got. So when you're not rich, you don't get that. That's a whole other thing. So that's another reason why I say we're not free, and we're not gonna be free. You know, that's why religion came into play, because you're supposed to be free in the afterlife. You're not supposed to be free in this life. You're supposed to be free in the afterlife. You know, very interesting aspect. Very interesting aspect. You know, uh, yeah, I can do that. I got the time. You know, but it's a hobby though. This is a hobby. It's not really a business. It's a hobby. I don't think Dana's here. You know, but are we free? Are you free? I mean, because like a lot of us, like even with this gender war thing, a lot of us are free to talk bad about the opposite sex, right? But guys probably feel like, am I free when it comes to these marriage laws? You know, it's gonna cost me something. Am I free in family court? It's gonna cost me something. You know, what can I? Am I free to just come and go as I please and have a fair exchange? No, mm-mm, it's not free. Everything costs. At the minimum, it's gonna cost you time. At the minimum, um, maximum is gonna cost you time too. But when I think about us being free, it don't come to mind. Like some of us don't even want to take into consideration. A lot of us mistake being a free spirit for being free. And a lot of times when you're a free spirit, somebody else foots the bill. So being a free spirit normally means you're really a drain on somebody else's freedom, because they got to restrict their freedom that they already have to subsidize your free spiritedness. So, I think people, um, got a twisted sense of freedom when it comes to stuff like that. I feel like I could do whatever I want, to go wherever I want, to act however I want, but somebody else is paying for that. 9 times out of 10, somebody else is paying for that. So we aren't free, because when you do stuff like that, you impede on another person. But I'll take it a step further. You know, you we have freedom of choice. You could choose something. You could choose to make a decision. If the decision is a good decision, you live with that. If the decision is a bad decision, you have to live with that. The only freedom actually that we may have is actually freedom of choice. You know, other than freedom of choice, you know, it's really are you gonna go left or go right? It's not. Capitalism gives you freedom to spend your money in a way, but capitalism is not for free. Capitalism in itself lets you know that you're not gonna be free, because ain't nothing in a capitalistic society free. Uh-oh. Yeah. Enjoy yourself out there. Enjoy yourself out there. You know what? I'm not messing with you. You know, I've been telling you. Free is you being able to do everything you want to do because you can afford to. We're in a capitalistic society. If you can't afford to come and go as you please, you're not free. You're not free. Like some people want to be free so they could travel. You know what I'm saying? I want to have freedom so I could go here and go there. Well, even no matter where you go, if you come home, do you still have to pay bills? You know, it is free is when all your time, when you can afford to have a leisurely life. If you can't afford to have a leisurely life, you're not free. Not free whatsoever. And I think we get it twisted. and different races have different freedom experiences because this person can get away with this and that person can't. So freedom is different per race. Maybe, and there's some free gender. So everybody can't be free. Everybody isn't free. When people talk about the 1%ers are free. Um, People who are millionaires are free. Billionaires first, free. Millionaires, free. 100,000aires, not free. Not free. You know. Uh, excuse me. So we're gonna play this game because that's what we're doing. Because we all trying to do things, and when we were younger, we were trying to do things to better our lives. So, excuse me. So if you're trying to better your life, you're trying to better your life so you can get freedom. You know, Capitalism itself made most people who were born in poverty and even the middle class freedom fighters by proxy, because you paying taxes, you know, you're dealing with the ups and downs of, what you can and cannot afford in America. You're dealing with the ups and downs of debt in America. So at the end of the day, you know, your financial situation can restrict your movement in America. You can be free to move. So you can be free. You have the freedom to come and go, all over this country as you please. If you get a passport, most places in the world, if you please. But can you afford to do it? Being able to have the freedom to do it, and being able to have the actual means to do it, that's two different things. The law says I'm free to do it, but my bank account says I'm not. So are you free yet? Excuse me, man. That Ron catching up with me. You know. So which one is it for you? Some people look at this situation as you have freedom to have vices. You know. You can indulge in food. You know. You can overindulge. You're free to gorge yourself, to be gluttonous. You're free to be greedy. You know. You're free to lie. You're free to chill. You're free to cheat. You're free to manipulate. You're free to do those things, but only for so long. Only for so long before it goes left. How free are you gonna be then? How free are you gonna be when you can't afford to be free? You know, this one, like, I didn't understand years ago income. The reason people talk about multiple streams of income is because you need to have enough streams of income to make everything pay for itself. And some things can pay for everything, while other things just are windows or avenues to keep money floating around in your life. But a lot of us ain't free like that. A lot of us can't do that because we don't. A lot of us don't have a multiple streams of income, so we're not freed up by that. Like, a lot of people have businesses, and it's great to have a business, but your business might not necessarily free you. Your business, you might put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the business, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be free. That the business itself, if it's something that you love to do, that may be part of your freedom, you know. But there's responsibilities that come with that, you know. Very interesting, you know. Right. Exactly, fam. And that's part of our you know, us as black people, we have a different thing. Like whether people like to admit it or not, we weren't we weren't intended to be free in this country. So that's a whole nother different dynamic. We have a whole another different dynamic that we weren't intended to be free in any way, shape, form, or fashion to be to actually be independent. You know, so for all of us, it's different. Mm, mm. We ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that. Put the link in the chat for anybody who won't come on. I might go for another 20, 30 minutes. I had no idea. Like I was running earlier, I took a shower, drinking my little lemonade. Boy, it's kicking in now. My fingertips was froze. My phone died while I was running. That's why the live stopped, by the way. The phone just like okay. So, for me, I don't think we're free. You know, when things keep happening and we still got to do the no justice, no peace thing. That ain't freedom. That ain't freedom. Uh-oh. You know what? When you gonna run in the snow? Huh? Take a run. D, I got you. Give me 1 second, man. I'm coming in there. I'm coming in there. What's popping with it?
What's up, L.A.R movement? How you been,
What's
man?
pop? I'm chilling. I'm tired as a mug.
Man, I'm tired too. Shit, in the same boat.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, what do you think?
I think freedom is subjective. Uh, Freedom really depends on the person. I mean, there's people with millions and billions of dollars that they're free in real world, but they're not free in their mind. So, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're mentally, how can I put it, unstable, then that money does you no justice, pretty much. Uh,
Like Howard Hewitt, like somebody who's rich and has like a mental problem.
yeah, you know,
I get that,
or
but
like,
they're of rich people though. Like they're like those type of people are normally like the minority of rich people.
yeah,
You
I mean
know,
that's true. I
some
mean, I don't know. Yeah,
no, I
um,
get it. You know, because I'll say this: some rich people get too rich and they become weirdos, and that makes them have mental illness because they've seen too much and they want so many particular things, and they start be like, "You're a little off now." Like,
yeah,
you
you're
know,
right. Yeah,
I get that. You know,
but I mean,
Uh,
there freedom comes with a price. I mean, that technically wouldn't be freedom, but um, I mean, however you can get to freedom for you personally, I mean, it's understandable as long as you don't do it in a bad way or you don't fuck somebody over or anything. I mean, personally, that's my way to go about it. Uh, but freedom really is up to that person. A person could be making $40,000 a year and be happy and free and doing all the things that they want to do. Um, but
I'm gonna
yeah,
be
freedom.
anti.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be anti what you just said for one part of what you just said for a particular reason. You
Well,
said as long as you don't screw somebody over, right?
yeah,
That's how this country got quote unquote freedom.
yeah, true. Yeah,
This
true.
whole
I mean, yeah,
country, like that, this whole country was set up to screw people over for their freedom, and now all of the rules are set up to you can't screw me back over to get freedom. You know,
I mean, yeah, this country was built off, hard work of slaves and just like fucking people over left and right. I mean, it's kind of how this culture is set up. I mean, it's a capitalistic society, but I mean, really, it's the people that's in the system that really makes it up. So, I mean, it could change overnight if we really like everybody just came together and push for a change. But I mean,
You
obviously,
think
that's not
that?
gonna happen.
You believe that? When you say come together, who coming together?
No, I'm saying like if everybody is a part of the human race. So the low end of this country actually came together and wanted to change. I mean, they would pretty much be forced to have to give you your freedom. I mean, pretty much. So I don't know.
But okay, I'm being anti. Like I said, I'm being anti. Most of the people who want freedom that don't look like us, their their avenue to be free is to make sure we don't get it. So what's the use of coming together?
Yeah, I mean that is true. I mean, you have a lot of obstacles in the way of coming together. I mean, everybody has like their prejudice or their own little bubble that they work in. So I mean, coming together wouldn't be the easiest task because I mean they're gonna try to stop you at every turn and like they're gonna put things in place to pretty much try to keep you down. Um,
I
so I mean,
was, oh, I'm gonna laugh, but okay, I watched the movie last night, yesterday. It wasn't last night, but yesterday afternoon. The Fred Hampton movie, right? So there was a scene with like Jag and Hoover. And Hoover was talking to the guy that was running the operation to infiltrate the Panthers. And so it's three white guys in the office. And Hoover tells the guy, like, he's like, don't he kind of really what he was low key doing, he was mafia threatening the guy. Like he came in the office, how's your kids? They're such a this age and this age. Yeah, how's your boy? And you look, your girl, she's about this big now. And he's like, he don't know this dude like that, but he knows how old his family, like his children are. Like you know what I'm saying. So he's like, he's low key, like I know your whole family, like how we get down, right?
yeah,
So he told the guy, he says, so what would you think if your daughter brought home a Negro? And the guy was like, my daughter's 8 months. Like, what are we talking about right now? And he's like, but I know she's 8 months, but what would you think if she brought home a Negro? And he was basically telling him like, the reason why we doing this is to make sure that your daughter never brings home a Negro. Now, a whole FBI operation comes down to, because the guy had a different agenda. He was like, his belief was the Black Panthers were the same as the KKK. So he's like, we need to stop the Panthers because they're just like, they're just a black KKK basically. And but working for the FBI, he's kind of like he's realizing, no, the FBI is like the KKK, but the FBI pays me, so it ain't affecting my family, it's affecting your family. So I could eat steak and have a nice house and drive a nice car, and my kids could do this. And am I really gonna toe the line and say this is wrong? He wasn't gonna do it. You
yeah.
know,
Honestly, I mean, I feel like when this push comes to shove, I mean, people are gonna do what's best for their survival. So you know, just like everybody has their own sense of freedom. So when it comes down to it, they're gonna try to fight for it as much as they can. But it's some things just hinder your freedom until you can get to a better position in life. Like
what? Oh, yeah, that's the crazy part about it. Like some people think oppressing people is freedom. So different you have different ideologies. Like I would, I can't be free if you free.
that is true. I mean. I mean, we
You
see
know,
that all throughout history, though. I mean, it's pretty much all
not
throughout
really,
history.
not really. What do you
Well,
mean by that?
so like just like oppressive oppression is all throughout history, like slavery or like kingdoms. You know, like they put certain laws or like armies or like people in place to keep the poor people at bay or keep the poor people from rioting or destroying the kingdom or like slaves from rebelling or certain things like that, like using the Bible to basically keep it in their head so they wouldn't riot or just rise up and just overthrow the slave master. I mean, it's like
There was
different forms of oppression.
it wasn't. Are you talking about European history?
No, I'm just saying history in general. Like there's always things in place to like keep certain people oppressed. You know, like certain mechanisms to keep people at bay from destroying what was built. Pretty much.
It was. I get it. I get it. Like Sun Tzu, that was like a different type of thing. It wasn't Sun Tzu. I forget. It's like the Xi dynasty, the Yang dynasty. One of them. Like part of Asian culture and part of African culture had the same thing where it wasn't really the war was actually to make everybody one tribe.
Right.
Um, Mongolian culture was necessarily about war. It was actually about trade. Europeans made it about war. That's how
Okay.
Genghis Khan got so big, because he wanted to just regularly have trade routes, and they got in the way. So okay, I'll show you how you want to get gully. Oh, we're gonna get real gully. Like it just went left from there. He just started. This is how we got to do it. But a lot of people who were like slavery in Europe and slavery in Africa. I don't think there was slavery in the. I think Genghis Khan's era, that Middle Eastern Mongolian part. I think he just killed people.
Yeah, he was slaughtering them. He was ruthless.
Like, but it wasn't. He was slaughtering people who he felt was allies to the people he was against. He
That
wasn't
makes sense.
slaughtering everybody because he had a he was smashing everything walking. So you can't do all that killing and smashing at the same time. Like,
Yeah, you're right.
but like a lot of people, like I don't like American situation. It bothers me because I don't think I'm like I think America doesn't want to be free. You know,
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I, I
I think we got complacent, pretty much. I mean, it, it's gotten to a point where how can I put it? Everything is hitting rock bottom, pretty much, and like the economy is just tanking. With all these policies and mechanism put in place by courts, law systems. I mean, it's like a whole bunch of different things they put in place to like keep the American people down, but they don't really know that they're being held back or oppressed per se. You
you
know,
think they
they
don't
they
know
they're still chasing the American dream, is how I could put it.
that's kind of part of the issue. The American, to me, the American dream is freedom. And the fact that the American dream is freedom means we ain't free in the first place. Because I
Dean?
got to get to
Yeah.
a certain place to be like, I finally made it. But but
Yeah.
but here's this place is the opportunity to finally make it. It's like, okay, yeah. But the courts work for people. Courts work for corporations. Well, like courts and politicians work for corporations. So the people that make laws are basically getting paid off by the people that make the products.
I mean, yeah. I mean the freedom thing is kind of a double-edged sword because like in the same token, you could be free with no responsibilities, but somebody else is gonna have to pick up the slack. But at the same token, or you could just pay for your own freedom, which is what you were talking about earlier, the 1%. Or you could be in the middle. You could be somebody that's a free spirit, but you didn't necessarily pay for your own freedom. You just got stuff handed down to you from your dad or your
They,
grandpa. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but that they're like, if I give you something and you're a free spirit, that means you're a free spirit. You're not a free person.
true.
You know. But the other part is, people want to be quote unquote free, and then it's like that's the part of when you're talking about people. You might be lazy. You might just do whatever you. That's the years ago I did this video saying how America's business model is based off of slavery. You know, so if I want to be free to do what I want to do, but I want you working for me, so your work gives me more freedom. The more people I employ, the more people are working for me, the less I got to work, the more I can do whatever I want to do.
That's
But at
true.
the same
Yep.
time, you working for me means you don't have enough time to work for yourself, quote unquote. So, so I'm taking your freedom. Yeah, I'm profiting off of your freedom with quote unquote my business or my money or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of based off that model of slavery. I mean, because I'm like freedom is a tricky topic, right? Because it's
Yeah,
either somebody else is doing the work for you, or you're doing the work for yourself, or you just got it handed down to you from somebody else that already did the work. So in this topic, I mean, there really is no such thing as freedom because you're always gonna have something either holding you back or something that could get in your way to stop you from your freedom. Or you just a free person and the bill has already been footed by your dad, grandpa, or your great grandpa, and that's like the three separate ways you could go about it.
in America, the next 20 years is gonna say a whole lot because there's gonna be a lot of people who are dying, you know, and there's gonna be a lot of people inheriting money. But the funny thing about inheriting, if you inherit something but you don't necessarily know how to manage it, you're pretty much gonna lose it or blow it.
Yeah,
And the
that is true.
question is, are the people who are about to inherit a lot able to actually manage it? And the way it looks is the vast majority of people who are about to inherit do not have any inclination on how, they already like, I'm about to ball out on granddad's money. Like, it's like, oh, you know,
Yeah, they about to cash out. It's a wrap. I mean,
you can't cash out though.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really tricky. I mean, what's about to hit is about to be a whole lot of bullshit. So might as well buckle up and get ready for it.
Well,
Hopefully, oh, you can go. You can go.
like, I, I don't see people in my generation. Uh, some of us will inherit things, and some of us won't. But this is the whole population thing, because from uh, what is AAR? A lot of let me say it this way: the white population, like over half of their population, is 55 years old and up. So, so they're not gonna that. So America's demographic, as far as people in a race because of age, we're going to have a whole, just because, but when that group itself dies off, that's what? It's like 100 million people, close to 100 million people.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, and that's a whole other different dynamic, because it's not necessarily the racial demographics. It's not necessarily the money thing. This country has been built up for the 300 plus million people that's in it. So when you lose close to 100 million, well,
it's gonna tank.
it ain't just gonna tank. The price of everything gonna have to go down.
True.
Because you don't need all of those resources. So, like, where we gonna go from there? Make sure other people die too, or you gonna lower the price? Like, what you gonna do? So, like, for me,
immigrants. I mean, you got a bunch of people dying to come over here, so they might just do some fuck shit and let them smooth their ass over here. You know, smooth
and
come
that's
over.
part of it. And that's like, people want immigrants to come here for the work. They don't want to come here for the numbers.
True. I mean, true, but I mean, it's a bunch of immigrants that can come. I mean, even if they come here for the work, I mean, it's still adding to the population, so it would keep everything kind of going how it's supposed to go for their system.
Not necessarily. I just thought about that, because the immigration process takes so many years.
It does. It really does. Yeah.
So, you know, you're gonna need a lot of amnesty for that.
I mean, we live in America, so they'll find a way. I'm just trust me.
You know, it's the same country that will bomb a whole nother country and say, I'm here to help.
That was fucked up. That was fucked up. Hiroshima, I think.
No, that's what the peacekeepers are. The term peace. A lot of times you go in. We here to help y'all. You know, making sure it's all right. Like, all right, bro. It's bad over there. It's probably bad because you interfered over there, and now you going over there to help because you want something.
That is facts.
Yeah. Like, but let me talk about the freedom thing a little bit. Like, you know,
he said even getting the cost of your green card. That's fucked up.
Like, where we gonna go? Like, because people want to be free, but to me, freedom has a number to it. Now, I think the number is subjective. That's like, I don't think freedom is subjective, because it costs to live. Because how you could be free in L.A. and how you could be free in Tampa Bay, that's two different frees financially.
Oh, big difference. A big ass difference.
What do you need to be free? Yeah, like, you know, if you're in Knoxville, Tennessee, this is all I need to be free. I'm good. You know, but if you're in New York, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, that's oof. New York, Cali, Florida. I would never move to Florida. They full of widows. But Cali and New York, hell no, way too fucking expensive. But yeah, that freedom does have a price. Like, that's why I said earlier, it just depends on the person. Because some people, they don't need a whole lot to be free, to live that freedom, and other people need the whole world. You know, it just depends.
You know what's funny? He said, "You know, Chris." You know, okay, everybody know who Kevin Samuels is by now.
Yeah.
Right? The whole high value thing. You need to meet somebody who can make sure your life is as debt free as possible. You get that,
Yeah, tragic.
So when people are hooking up, it's like I need to meet somebody who can make sure I don't have to pay for this, have to pay for that, have to deal with this, have to deal with that. You know, like you know what? Let me say something that's controversial. Screw it. You free to have kids. Can you
Mm.
afford it?
That see that yeah. You free to do anything you want, but can you afford to do what your freedom costs you? That's a different scenario. Like you free to just walk out the house and go buy a $300,000 car, but can you afford that freedom that it just costs you? I mean that's a good way to look at it.
Okay, this is a true story. So I had one of my coworkers some years ago. They had um they 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 saw a Bentley, a used Bentley. It was on sale. It was 5, 6 years old. It was on sale for like 60,000 or something like that. And most like cars like that, people don't really drive a lot, so the mileage was really low.
Right.
And they was like, you know what? I'm finna get that. And I paused on them. I was like, you finna get what? I'm finna get the Bentley. I'm finna get it. I was like, hey, do you know how much it costs to upkeep that car? And it's
I
like, what
don't
do you
know
mean? Do
that.
you know how much it costs to change the oil? Do you know how much it costs? You know, if the horn break, or if you got to get the brakes replaced, change, in the engine. Do you know how much they cost? And they was like, And I was like, let me give you a ballpark figure. Cars that are upper end like that, it might cost you a few stacks just to get the oil change.
Hell
And I was
no.
like, what? I'm like, yeah, you just can't take that to Jiffy Lube. Like, you just can't take that to the Walmart auto thing. It's not going to go down like that. And it was like, oh, okay. I didn't think about that. You know, this is, they were
Like
free to do
okay.
it. Yeah, exactly. They was free to do it, but it's like, okay, let's see how long. Go get this car if you want. Go do it if you want. See, I knew a
Yep.
guy once. True story. I knew a guy once. This is over 10 years ago. He bought a Lamborghini. I want to say it's a Diablo. Remember Diablo had the heads chopped off or whatever, but it was all stick shifts. This was before they did the automated, the automatic shift. It just was all stick shifts. He couldn't drive a stick.
Huh? I can't drive stick, but damn. I wouldn't buy no car I can't drive. Shit.
So
Fuck
my
no.
cousin had to teach him how to drive because he was stripping the gears all the way from uh, he was stripping the gears driving it home. Dog, that's $250,000 car. You effing it up right off the lot because you don't know what you're doing. So it took him a little bit. I think he gave the car up. He wound up getting a Eleanor.
What is that?
Eleanor is was a '67 Chevy. It's not. I mean '67 Mustang Shelby. Like '67 Shelby. I want to say '67, 64. But that technically is like a $250,000 car now.
Oh, so he came with a
So
lick.
I mean, you got to build. Like it's cheaper to build that, but it's hard to find it. Like if you buy it, you gonna buy that's a six-figure car. But if you got the freedom to do it, but it might not be a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Like he had freedom because this guy had somewhere between 11,000 and 15,000 square foot house. So he had the money and he had the freedom of choice, but he just wasn't prepared for that type of freedom. He needed automatic freedom, not manual freedom. You know, yeah,
God.
that's my guy though. But that happened. Look, see your boy Bugatti's 20,000 a year for maintenance. He said, yeah, going to 60 seconds. Yeah.
Ooh, hell nah. I mean that's why most of these rappers and shit be going broke. I mean, buying all the expensive shit.
You like I got a little insight on some of that. First of all, a lot of rappers don't know how much stuff costs because you know, this ain't just rappers. Anybody who went from having nothing to a lot, you do that little stretch where you buying stuff because you never you. I could always dream I could buy this, but you don't. When rappers buy jewelry, you can't sell that back.
Facts. Damn.
So no, you could sell it back if you didn't make it so personalized. See, you could sell it. You could sell the chain back if it's just a standard chain, a standard piece. But if you making a chain that doesn't, nobody's ever seen before, like the baby, he got that Kirk chain,
4 PF,
huh?
the 4 PF with the 4 PF.
No. The one that he has his name on, Kirk, not little
Oh,
baby, the baby.
oh, the baby.
Got,
Okay, okay. Yeah.
when it says Kirk all the way around. The link say Kirk. Who you gonna sell that to? If you need the
Nobody.
money, who you gonna sell that to? Because nobody, a person that needed to be named Kirk to buy that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't kill that.
Put a big
Same
ass
thing when they
Jesus
bought
piece on it.
the Jesus pieces, yeah, but even the same thing that goes with that. When they buy the watches and they be iced out, you can't sell it back right. You like if you buy for 100,000, you're gonna have to give it up for like 60.
Gee, but hope you ain't in that. Shit.
That's the
Fucked
problem.
up.
But if you buy it the way it comes, if you buy the right watch, it goes up. You get a presidential, you get a Oyster Perpetual, you get a Yacht Master, something like that, a Submariner. The normal APs. You know what I'm saying? Forgot the damn name, the longer name. Guys with the moon and the sun on the thing. You get those watches, you get them normal. The Panini and all that, you get them normal. If you buy it for 10, 20, 30,000, you could sell it for 10, 20, 30,000, but probably more. Because the older they get, they go out, they don't make them no more. So now they become vintage pieces. That's why you see that rich people got those watch collections, because the collection might be way more worth more than what he purchased it for, because you can't get it. It's like for the richest of the rich. So even if you sell it back, you make a profit. But when you got people who just come in the money, I want this, I want that. Diamonds ain't.
Diamonds are
I'm gonna tell
abundant.
you, it's not just that they're abundant. You take your diamond watch somewhere, don't be surprised if they tell you to come back in 2-3 days and they steal your diamonds and put cubits back in that sucker, and you go home like it's the real thing. And then when it's time for you to sell it, you ain't got a diamond watch no more. See,
Damn.
people don't talk about that part of it. That's the other reason why people have those diamond testers now, because they used to do that. People look at black people that's doing bad business, but people don't look at other people. That's how they would do. That's how the jewelry stores would do, folks. You go in there, you get your joint cleaned. Oh, you know what? We got a few to clean. It might take 24 hours. It might take, come back in 2-3 days. We got you. No, they needed to bust your joint down and put some fakes in it. That's what and then they cleaned it, because a cubic loses its shine just like a diamond loses its shine. So if you don't keep it clean, it don't shine. So they both look dirty and cloudy over time, and they both look sparkly, brand new. You're not gonna tell the difference. Most people not. Let me get this, but yeah, they say also taking care of family and people. When you get too many people, you lose your money, man.
Yeah.
You ever heard the story about? I ain't gonna say who it is, but everybody knows. A lot of people. Well, I can. He's already a public story. You ever heard the story about Allen Iverson when
Uh,
he had a bunch of friends, and one of his friends kept getting in trouble. So he got in so much trouble that Allen Iverson just he had to pick him up from jail. You know, and what he did was he picked him up with like a bag full of cash, like over $200,000. He was like, "Listen, man, you got to go." He gave him enough money to buy himself a house back home because it'd cost him more money to keep him around because he'd keep getting in trouble, keep having to bail him out, keep having to pay this business or that business to keep it quiet and all that other stuff. But that's what that is.
if he would have played his cards right, he would have got more money in the long run. But hey, some people just don't know. I mean, you know, Allen Iverson, shit. Hey, it never crosses people's minds that like black men also have problems to deal with too. So like, if he's paying for his freedom and he's paying for y'all freedom, the least you could do is keep a burden off his back. It's crazy.
There's very few. There's a reason why people like LeBron James and his quote unquote entourage. They're like the first successful entourage in history. You know, they are literally all of those guys are successful entities on their own outside of LeBron. Everybody else not like that. They're just a bunch of people who need something or want something. That costs money. And matter of fact, let me add that to that. This like when you was talking about rich, this is why some of them rich people lose their mind. Because I didn't pay for my freedom, now I gotta pay for yours. Now I gotta pay for yours. Now I gotta pay for yours. You know what I'm saying? It
Shit,
don't make
all
no
y'all get cut
sense.
off. Cut everybody off. Shit, you gotta go. I mean, if you get your freedom, you don't owe anybody else anything. You know, uh, it might sound selfish, but once you free, some people just never want to go back. Honestly, like that cost was
Well,
too much of a burden, and they don't want to go through that again. So they just bow out gracefully.
I'm being anti, like I said earlier. You might want to teach somebody how to be free. Because what happens if you don't teach, you can have kids, and maybe your kids might not really fully grasp being free because they feel like they don't have to because you're well off. So you might have to teach somebody outside of your immediate family to be free. So when it's time for you to pass on, they can actually teach the rest of the people how to be free.
Yeah, you
Because
got a good
it's
point.
you know like that's what I kind of meant earlier when I was talking about when these people die and these people inherit it. I don't think a lot of people prepare. You know, the
Like,
best. My bad.
yeah, you can go.
The best financial advice I could give a person: if you got a large sum of money, keep it. Keep it until you actually learn how to move with it. You know, keep it. If you're gonna spend it, spend only 25% times. Just keep it.
So that's like my thing, right? Like, I'm young, but right now I'm learning how to maneuver with the little money I get now. So when it gets bigger, and I know what I like and dislike, I'm gonna know how to budget and move accordingly. So like once I get to a certain level, I know how to deal with that freedom. So I know how to deal with the payment of having my own freedom, pretty much. So mm, just yeah, you could teach somebody, but I often revert back to this story in the Bible where I think this guy had two sons, And then one son, he was like, "Oh, just give him my inheritance, right?" And he went off, and he was just splurging. And then he was like, "Damn, I'm down bad. I'm on my ass, pretty much." And then he
The
came
prodigal
back to his
son,
father. Yeah,
prodigal son,
yeah. And he
he
came
was out
back.
there, he was partying, living my best life, and then he was broke.
Yeah, and so yeah, he came back, and he was like, "Damn, I'm down bad." And his dad just welcomed him with open arms, and it was like, you know, the best thing, the worst thing you could do with a large sum of money is to go out and just spend it recklessly, because you'll be right back in the same situation that you left. So he got the freedom that he wanted, but he didn't know how to deal with the cost of the freedom that he got, pretty much. So it's like it was kind of a bad situation on his part. It,
You don't know. It's a lot of us out there. Because for me, this is a nerve-wracking thing because I don't think people realize that at the end of the day, what's going to wind up happening is if your freedom is something that you're going to have to pay for and fight for. You know, you know, you say America's free, but it ain't. You know, ain't nothing free in America. Nothing.
facts.
You know, and what winds up happening, like I've never, people say other countries are worse off because they say other countries have, you can be a little bit more violent in other countries. You can do a little bit more crime in other countries. Other countries, and people look at America as like, oh, so basically other countries are the wild, wild west is what you're telling me. It's not like we haven't been here before. It's just that's where they're at now.
Right.
And what America is now is a civilized wild, wild west. Whereas wild, wild west when I say so, and not, oh, it's wild, wild west when I'm coming at you. But it's not. But it's not wild, wild west when you're coming back at me. And I don't think people realize when you do that, you make a population submerge, and that population itself gonna be a problem because now I got to be smart enough. I know how you gonna operate before you know how I'm operating.
That is
And then you
true.
have a
I mean,
problem. You say
he said what?
Hot Boys, Hot Boys, the group of Cash Money Records. Who don't know about the Hot Boys? Man, that was Turk, that was BG, that was Weezy, that was Juvie.
But yeah, I mean, it's like they could do something to you, but as soon as you do something back, it's like, oh, that he's evil. You know what I'm saying? That person fucked up. That fucked up individual. They play that little tit for tat. But I'm gonna do my tit, and you can't get your tat because if you do your tat, then I'm gonna sick these laws on you, and I'm gonna put your life in a worse situation than you could do to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
I'm
it's
gonna
crazy.
I'm gonna say something that I was gonna do. I'm gonna still do the video about it. The worst thing that happened to America, in my opinion now, is the camera. Because cameras are everywhere now. You got cameras on your phone, you got cameras in your house, you got cameras at the ATM, you got cameras at the businesses, you got cameras everywhere. And with all these cameras, crime been going down for the last 30, 40 years now. So with all of these cameras, you're gonna wind up seeing who's doing the most crime. And it ain't gonna be who America thinks. And what's gonna wind up happening is it's not gonna be a come to Jesus moment. It's gonna be the same thing that happened with the Capitol riots, like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it's not a big deal. And then it was gonna wind up happening. That's not a big deal thing gonna blow up and be something so extreme that it's like everybody gonna be like, okay, ain't no coming back from this. Because right now people are desensitized to everything that happens in this country. We free to forget.
That is true. But yeah, this new camera era, like shit. Fuck, I don't know how I'm mispronouncing it. But this new camera era that everybody is about to like go through is like everything's gonna be exposed. So it's not gonna be like, oh, that person did that. No, I gotta prove I didn't do it. So now you're a liar. So now you gotta prove that you're not a liar, but I already got to prove that you are a liar. So it's gonna be like it's gonna shut a lot of things down, a lot of narratives, a lot of you know things that have been going on in the dark are about to be exposed to the light, and it's about to shine a lot of bad things that's been going on undercover, pretty much. Uh,
You gotta make the pickups and drops in this society a little bit more and more underground. Now, but if they got cameras everywhere, how you gonna do that now? Like, how you gonna do it now? You know, you got to go to somebody's house personally.
you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna walk around with a jammer. They'll have a jammer on them doing crime. Walking to the bank, just shuts all the cameras off. Freeze.
Oh, that ain't gonna work
Uh,
because you,
yeah,
you
yeah.
you you could jam you you
You
could
see how
jam
funny it is?
digital. You could jam digital, but you can't jam wired. Like
Okay, yeah, facts. Yep.
you know, it's always like somebody. It's not gonna be pretty, man. It's not
The,
gonna be pretty.
all I gotta say is you better learn to wire into the building. You better learn whether them cameras are digital or wired in, because it's gonna be a hurtful scene if you don't know.
But the crazy part about it for me is say money. Paper money is kind of going out. Everybody got a card or a Google Pay or Cash App. Yeah, like everybody could pay on a thing. Man, okay, she just give me a few seconds. I'm gonna end it with you, D, because I'm gonna put sheet on here. But I'm gonna say this and then you speak and we're gonna get it. Um,
All right.
because everything is digital. What happens when you go? You ain't gonna need. You can't rob a bank. Man,
True. That is true.
we putting up numbers now. We ain't got no cash. We got give it, and even the banks where I'm at now, like because of COVID, not even the banks, the suburban low security areas got that thick plexiglass now, and COVID is the excuse. So what you gonna do now? Like I'm gonna shoot you? No, not really, bro. So it's different. But go ahead, man.
But yeah, I mean, closing thoughts for me, it just I give it 5 to 10 years. I mean, to see how everything plays out, pretty much. Freedom. If you want freedom, you gotta earn it, pretty much, or it's gotta be handed down to you, or you just gotta take it from. You just gotta take it from other people that's working underneath you. You know what I'm saying? Like the slavery dynamic of what you said. Uh, and if you thinking about committing crimes in the future, that's pretty much a wrap. You know what I'm saying? That all of that's about to go out the window. I mean, you're not gonna be able to get away with nothing anymore. I mean, it's done. But I mean, that's my closing thoughts. Uh,
Man, I
yeah.
appreciate you, fam. Catch you next
Peace.
time. Peace. Hold up. She, I'm trying to, I got you. What's popping, man?
What's going on, man? I be watching them short clips she be putting down, man. You be lacing the fire, man.
Man, I appreciate it. I see you working out there. Don't think I don't. I'm a cloud guy when I'm at work. I could just listen and
Yeah, yeah.
straightforward.
I be jumping on the panels, I be moving around because,
Mhm.
I drive so I can, talk on my Bluetooth and I be doing my thing. But yeah, man, just like the other guy was talking a little bit earlier, I wanted to touch on that real quick that you know, you can be trained a certain way as you growing into money, but it will be a shock to the system to get out. That's a lot. You know,
Hold up, you bored me a little bit.
I'm going to a bad area.
All right, just start again because I heard you at the end of it. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just start from scratch.
All right. I said basically $20 million will be a shock in the system because that's where that term come from. Like I think it was Juvia, one of them acting like a man ain't never had it. It comes to the point where you get so much money, you don't know what to do with it because everything that you want, you can get it. And that poses a question, well, really poses a problem to most people, like that dude who messing with one of those Kardashians, and he was at I guess a restaurant, and him and the guy got into it, and he basically told him, "I pay you for your service," took $100 and shoved it in the man's mouth. Now that's disrespectful, but to the point where you have so much money like that, it makes your ego go a little bit more. If you don't have people around you to make you humble yourself, you'll actually go crazy with the money.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. To me, those people are anomaly people because those people don't. I'm not gonna say they don't exist, but they're like new money people. And the problem with those people is they kind of expose themselves to a dynamic where they're outside of the protection of people with old money because they're going around putting too much, causing too much ruckus. So why I'm gonna be around you? I'd rather you just get robbed or taken, taken for a loss. But yeah, I get it. I've seen people do some arrogant stuff, but most of those people could get got. That's a calling card. Not bad. You got a sheet. You ain't gotta mute you. Oh, uh-oh. Just unmute when you're ready. I say that then. Um, I enjoy people believing in the idea of financial freedom. I enjoy the idea of financial freedom, but I do know people get arrogant. But the problem with arrogant people, they could be taken down. Now a person can be taken out of the system. That's different. That's a whole different ball game. But now I'm like, uh-oh. Oh, hold up. Let me put it back in the chat. Hold up. There you go. I got you. You there? You there, she? I was wondering what happened.
Now it's breaking up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in the
It's all
area.
good. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Go
Yeah,
for it.
and even with that situation you guys were talking about with the cameras, and a lot of things have been exposed with, videos nowadays. We got the crime on the police, for instance, and they still getting acquitted by that. You starting to see who's actually, like you say, doing more of the crimes and what's being done about it.
Like that's part of what I was talking about with the Fred Hampton movie. Like there was a particular scene where I forgot about saying it. A particular scene, I didn't want to say it in the review. There's a particular scene when the guy thought the Panthers are like the KKK. He come to find out that a panther killed another panther for being a rat, right? But the truth was the panther that killed the guy was the actual rat. He was an informant. So he killed the guy to act like he was a rat. So he tortured and killed the guy and act like he was a rat. And then he went on a run to different Panthers headquarters to basically map out where everybody stay at, basically. This lay out the chain. But that's what I'm like. When it comes to the crime with the cops, that's gonna, that type of information becomes problematic. Because now when you put that out in the public, you got to ask, okay, that was in 68, 69. What are you doing now? Like,
Yeah, the crime. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, she. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the crime now is far worse. I mean, they got the facial recognition software to where they know people that do crimes, and even I think to the extent with the like the terrorists, they have all these terrorists on watch lists. They know when they're gonna do things. It's just a matter of how long they're gonna let it go on. Because if you see things that benefit you or the country, you will let it happen. But if it's things that hurt the country to an extent that it makes a downfall, hey, I mean, that's even with 9/11, a lot of stuff that happened, a lot of people's on the watch list. I mean, if you invested in some type of stock, you would have.
Hold up, you broke up. You broke just now. You said you saw some type. You bought a stock. Dang, you still broke.
Stock. Ah, come on.
Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. You know, like part of this for me was because of 9/11. Because 9/11 showed. Here's my thing. 9/11 from when you look at 9/11 forward, you realize how incompetent the government actually is. Now, when you look at 9/11 backwards, like using these movies and television shows as like in the documentaries as historical references, you realize how much the government was involved in all of the things that caused America to be what it is, as far as the vices and the downfall of America. Like people can literally say Miami was built off of cocaine. Chicago was built off of the mob. Because it's the second city. The first one got burned down for the race riots or whatever. Las Vegas was built up off of crime, but Hollywood necessarily was a movie industry. New York, technically, financial, but a gang city. But even like Lehman Brothers, their family was really slave owners. So it's one of those things where when it comes to the top metropolitan cities, too many of them are involved in foundation come from illegal or unethical activity. So DC, I mean, people don't really want to say it, but DC is the capital, it's Philadelphia first, I believe, and not DC, but DC was the home of sanctioning all these other quote unquote racist policies. DC is the home of COINTELPRO, the home of Iran Contra. So this is where this is where it starts. I can hit the background now, she. So go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to go into another little spot, but hopefully it don't cut out. Yeah, I know these little areas because I be talking. I'm always hitting them. But yeah, I was talking about the stock. If somebody was into the stock when they knew what stock was going to hit, far as 9/11, and they knew that the bombing, it would have benefited them. I mean, to speak on it, I'm not even gonna go into detail, but can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm not gonna go far into detail, but the Pentagon, the way how the plane hit the Pentagon, a lot of people had questions about it. If you really do the research about that plane hitting the Pentagon and what happened the day before, you would know why that plane hit the Pentagon.
But see, that's my
I mean,
like
it's crazy.
when people think about 9/11, it's the one thing that they don't remember is you remember I think it was outside of Jersey when they had that plane that went off script and they shot it down. That wasn't too far from 9/11. And people don't think about it like when planes go off script, the trajectory is supposed to be known already. So they're monitored. So that's why I say it's about people being incompetent. Like what you was talking about if you find out what happened the day before, it's going to be a problem. It is a problem. But this is part of the reason why I started this live is about, are we free? Because a lot of this stuff comes from impeding on other people's freedoms and their responses, and you got to do so much to be free. So now I just don't, my antagonist argument is we're not free, because if you, like when people say we're fighting for, you got the soldiers out here fighting for our freedom. You will fight for our freedom in this country. You don't fight for our freedom in that country. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to have a war, it's going to be here. It's not going to be over there. But, that's just how I look at it. But I can hear you, She. Go for it.
Yeah, the part of freedom is what you're allowed to do. That's it. That's what freedom is in any and every country. It's what we allow you to do. That's like the whole thing with the March on the Capitol. They were free to do that, but it came with a penalty. You know, when the people were yelling, we built this Capitol," I laughed at that. But a lot of people they were there, thought that it was a good, noble, and righteous thing to do, and they found out the consequences that freedom was only given to them to a certain extent.
Yeah, but they're not really facing the consequences now. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like so what winds up happening, you do that, you do something like that, and you really don't give people consequences, they're gonna look at it as a win. It's the same thing as people in was it Vegas, and then they went to Portland or something. They're like
Yeah.
8 months. Those people got out of jail. They got acquitted for that. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you allow people to do that. You what else you gonna let them get away with? And see, that's the all right, Sheet. I'm about to say something that's gonna go left. That's the problem with the freedom part, because if you allow these people to go left, when they come in my house in my neighborhood thinking that they free, because they could do, because you let them off the hook and I put a bullet in them, they weren't supposed to be around me. That's a problem. You know, this is why I'm like people don't realize something about. I hate to say this way. I don't think a lot of people don't realize how much around a 9mm round costs now, as far as much compared to how much it cost 5, 10 years ago.
Mhm.
These people been buying ammunition for years. They're not just buying ammunition to sit in the house. Just to keep the record straight. You know, and if anybody has ever bought it in bulk, you know it either comes in a box in a plastic bag, or it comes in like it ain't really military grade, but those big mini coffers, whatever you want to call them joints. Some of them in the tin thing. Y'all don't realize, people about to fight for their freedom. They think their freedom is involved in bullets, but you got it, Sheed.
And the crazy part, this reminded me of a story. I used to move furniture, and we moved this guy. This guy had, I want to say, 10 cases now, 10 gun cases, 10 gun safes, 10 gun safes, all of them full of rifles. I think they hold, 10 or 15 in each one. The guy said he had over, I want to say I think about 120 or something like that in rifles, like AKs, shotguns all through there. The guy had, I lost count. I know it was over, close to like $400 or $500. I mean, 400 or 500 handguns. And the craziness about that was He had all the guns with the cases, everything. And I'm looking and I'm like, why do you have so many guns? Like, this is the crazy part. He built a Gatling gun. Those things are illegal. You can't buy them. You can't. He was so smart in buying parts overseas, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where, we would have those guns in those countries. When the military would go, they would leave them. But, most of them would break them down, take the fire pins out.
Right.
And he literally bought parts from everywhere to build that gun. Any parts he couldn't buy, he fabricated the parts. Because why? The specs are online.
And he probably
He
got a mount
fabricated
with
the
it.
parts. Yep. And he actually, it was funny because he moved up in the North Georgia mount. Well, I think it was North Tennessee. It was like far up in the mountains between Tennessee and Georgia. And they had this big old rock up there to where when he first bought the house, he was staying like 10 acres, a lot of woods around, but it was a real nice house with a shop and everything. And the guy was retired. All he did was collect his guns. His wife actually, she collected pigs because she had pig everything in the kitchen. He had his guns, she had her pigs. And the crazy part, like I said, when he went to go buy the house, the man kept hearing a whole bunch of like gunshots. Bah, bah, bah. And the lady was like, well, she's like, sorry to tell you, but if you buy this house, the neighborhood has like a little place up there where they shoot. And everybody who stays around here, they were former military to that
Mm-hmm.
extent, or some to where they like guns. She said, you generally have to like guns to stay up here. So the guy was like, oh, it's up my alley. So the day
I
before
got
he get
something for
ready to move,
y'all.
yeah, the day before he moved in, like he brought the Gatling gun, put the tripod down, let it rip. By the time he sit up there finished packing, he said he had about 20 pickup trucks coming up that little mountainside. Hey man, what was
Who was that?
that? They was getting on him, man. What you got? Man, that was better than whoa, man, it was making so much no what, just having a fit. And he smiled at him and put the gun back in there. He actually popped the case the way he see it, because all this guy guns was in cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there crying, laughing. And the whole thing of it was he showed us the gun. He's like, yeah, man, this is my beauty. The guy literally, like I told you, every Desert Eagle, he had a silver plated, gold plated. He had the other one that was a custom all black polished on there. And I was sitting there and I'm like, I think the guy had like 8 Desert Eagles, all different colors and size. They had the little newest ones that came out that were pretty small. I was like, why do you need this many guns like this? He's like, why not? You never know. I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm,
man.
I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of that many guns. And the only reason I'm not a fan because two things happened. I went to a gun range. I don't know how many years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, and the guy who was at the counter was like an Israeli guy, and he ripped into this white dude. It was funny though because the guy came in there with his gun and he was like, "Yeah, I need some targets or whatever." And the Israeli guy asked him about like, because he was running off at the mouth just talking. He's like, so he was talking like he'd been in a gunfight. And the Israeli was guy, well, you don't need no targets then, because you know good and well that a real gunfight, nobody's gonna stand still like these doggone targets. You got to learn how to shoot people on the move and shoot on the move. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the guy was just stuck, like, huh? And the Israeli was like, you Americans, man. And that's just how he said, you Americans, man. Yeah. Y'all not that smart. I was like, yeah, here we go. And then I went to a gun show to buy some stuff or whatever. And I remember it was this short, stocky, I'm not sure if he was white or Mexican because it's been so long ago. This guy was like 5'4", 5'3", like 200 pounds type of guy. And he bought this big 50 cal. But if anybody been to Houston, it's a convention center called the George R. Brown Center downtown. The guy, so it's very air conditioned. This guy was sweating, like I mean sweating, walking from buying the gun to the door, and I'm chuckling because I know a lot of guys who like big guns, and I'll be laughing. I'm like, bro, if you ain't even in shape enough to carry that, there's no way in hell if a gunfight actually, yeah, like you'll be dead because you can't you're too small for that, and it's too big for you, and you're too out of shape to handle it. And a lot of people don't think about this stuff. They just buy stuff. And I'm not a fan of color. I'm not a fan of the bright ass colors because I'm like, bruh, that bright ass color gonna get you shot. If they don't see you, they gonna see that damn gun. Get something that can blend in. Like Jesus Christ. Well, shit, if you there, you got it, man.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I've seen guys pick up big guns, and the crazy part is like I got a 38 little nine stuff like that. I'm on the fly with it. I'm about 270, 5'11". So a big guy like me, that gun holding in my palm of my hand, my 380, to the point where I can stick it in my pocket, walk around, to the extent I can just shove my hand in there and grab it out. I'm gone. All these guys getting these Desert Eagles, 50 cals. Yeah, I mean, I've actually shot a Smith& Wesson 45. Nice gun. Pack a whole lot of heat. I tried to do it with one hand, gave me a whole bunch of kick. But I wouldn't be walking around with it, something like that generally. Just, it's a struggle to pull it out because it's so big. You actually would have to have a hoist for it to, pull it smoothly without no problem. To have it cuffed in your pants and then pulling up your shirt, you have to have it up under the armpit to where it's just easy in and out. A lot of guys don't realize that. Yeah.
It was one brother. I'm not too sure if it was like a super long barrel. The barrel was like this damn long. So that's the barrel. So the handle is, and this dude was like 6'4". He had to do this. I'm like, bro, there's no fucking way in hell. If you gonna buy a gun, you're gonna buy a gun, you're gonna do this. This is not Dirty Harry. It was an automatics, but I'm guessing, 6 to 10 round mag. But this right here, no, I'm not doing that. Wait till I get my shit up, boy. I'm about to. You didn't get shot 4 times. Doesn't make sense.
That's like that old saying when the guys be like, "I'm about to go to the car."
You're not gonna make it to the car.
Yeah.
But shoot, man, this is crazy. Let me get out of here, fam. I'm gonna go handle some things, man. I appreciate you coming, man.
All right, cool, man. I always enjoy your videos. I'm gonna be in the background listening and stuff.
Tell Roger and them I said, long live the habitual line steppers. I think I think he was on there 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah. I'm always on Roger's channel because Roger poses a lot of good things to the space and kind of get people to open up, because if we have a one-track mind in this space, how are we able to communicate? How are we able to get things accomplished and get things done,
Exactly.
in the aspect of dealing with women or just dealing with the men in general. We all have to move because, like I always tell guys, when it comes to mostly with the women, they stay on code. Why guys don't have a code? Why guys can't move a certain way?
I'm just waiting right now. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm waiting because, I don't know if this pandemic gonna ever end the way it's going, but it has to end eventually. But I'm just waiting for the Freaknik to happen after that because all these complaints that people are having, let's see what happens when they open the floodgates. If you can't get nobody after these floodgates open, I don't want to hear what you got to say. I just don't. You had all the time to work on you, the time to realize if you want to be by yourself or with somebody. So I'm finna do some Conan head slicing. I'm just waiting on it.
Hey, it's gonna be interesting, man. I give you that because, like I say, I don't know a lot of guys in the space. I don't know where their head is at. Like I tell guys, if you 19, there's no way that you're it more. You don't want to deal with women at 19. You don't want to deal with women at 25. You haven't even jumped off the porch, you know. And that's why I tell these young men, you got to go experience life. Don't live life through the eyes of your most famous YouTubers or through everybody else. You learn off their differences and experiences that they had, not to get caught with your hand in the cookie jar.
You
That's
know,
the whole thing. That
yeah, I try to tell guys that too, man, because I don't say it that much anymore. But I'm like, the manosphere isn't a space for you to not talk to the opposite sex because all the guys who gave you information have been dealing with the opposite sex for 10, 20 years.
exactly.
You know, they're not finna stop. They just trying to tell you, hey, when I was around, if you 20, when I was around your age, this what was going on. 25, this what was going on. 30, this was going on. These guys didn't stop and just say, oh, I'm done, man. I'm taking my sausage and I'm going home. They didn't say that. You know, we're not saying all that. We're just like, hey, you got to watch out for these things. You know, don't be sitting in the house with an empty bottle of lotion mad at the world. No.
Yeah, man.
Let me go ahead and get out of here, man. I appreciate you for coming, man. I'm
All
gonna
right now.
be back live Friday and Saturday, y'all, because that's when I'm off again. Peace, everybody.
Yep.
I gotta go. I think this thing ain't gonna stop. Ain't this about a blip? You see, I'm hitting this end button, but it ain't.